The power of Christ compels you. The Exorcist wasn't just a horror movie. It was a production nightmare that consumed careers, shattered lives, and may have actually summoned something unholy onto the set. 9 deaths during filming, mysterious fires, injuries that defied explanation. This wasn't movie magic, it was something darker. Buckle up for 20 weird facts about The Exorcist that reveal the terrifying truth behind cinema's most cursed production. Plus, we've got a bonus fact that'll leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about this demonic masterpiece. Let's dive into the abyss. Fact number 1. The demon's voice came from a woman who drank herself back into alcoholism. Mercedes McCambridge, who provided the unique vocalizations of Reagan's possession, went to great lengths to achieve the effect. She chain-smoked, swallowed raw eggs, and drank heavily. A former heavy drinker, she threw herself off the proverbial wagon to give her all to the film. What audiences heard as pure evil was actually McCambridge destroying her sobriety for art. She'd chain-smoke cigarettes until her throat was raw, down shots of whiskey between takes, and literally swallow raw eggs to create that otherworldly rasp. The Academy Award-winning actress sacrificed 6 years of sobriety to become Pazuzu's voice. The demon didn't just possess Reagan McNeil, it possessed Mercedes McCambridge's life. Fact number 2. The set burned down, but the demon's room survived. The set that was being used for the McNeil house caught on fire, which delayed production for 6 weeks. What's strange, however, is that the only room that wasn't burned was Reagan's demonic bedroom. Picture this: flames ripping through every corner of the Georgetown house set. Craft services destroyed, dressing rooms incinerated, expensive equipment melted into twisted metal. But Reagan's bedroom, the epicenter of the film's evil, remained untouched. According to Friedkin, a pigeon had flown into one of the circuit boxes of the home. A pigeon. Or maybe something wanted that bedroom preserved for darker purposes. The fire delayed production for 6 weeks and nearly killed the project. The insurance company called it an act of God. The cast called it something else entirely. Fact number 3. 9 people connected to the film died. During its production, a set technician and night watchman died. Additionally, 2 main cast members, Max von Sydow and Linda Blair, lost family members while shooting the film. Shortly after production, 2 cast members died. 9 deaths. That's not a coincidence. That's a body count. Jack McGowran, who played the movie director Burke Dennings, died shortly after filming wrapped. The night watchman who discovered the mysterious set fire? Dead. A carpenter lost his thumb. A technician lost a toe. Max von Sydow's brother died during production. Linda Blair's grandfather passed away mid-shoot. Each death felt connected, like dominoes falling in slow motion. The cast started carrying crosses. The crew began whispering prayers. Even hardened Hollywood professionals started believing they'd awakened something that demanded payment in blood. Fact number 4. William Friedkin slapped a priest to get the right performance. Director William Friedkin didn't just direct The Exorcist, he terrorized his cast into authentic performances. During Father Karras's breakdown scene, Friedkin literally slapped Jason Miller across the face without warning. The shock, the pain, the genuine confusion you see on screen, that's real. Friedkin believed fear was the key to horror. He'd fire guns on set to startle actors. He'd refrigerate the Georgetown house set to 40 degrees below zero so their breath would fog naturally. The man didn't just want performances. He wanted to strip away every layer of pretense until pure human terror remained. His methods were brutal, but they worked. Every scream was genuine. Every moment of anguish was authentic. Friedkin didn't make a movie about possession. He created actual possession through sheer directorial brutality. Fact number 5. The famous crucifix scene was Linda Blair's idea. The most shocking scene in The Exorcist, Reagan violating herself with a crucifix, came from Linda Blair herself. She was 14 years old. During script readings, Blair suggested the scene would be more impactful if Reagan used a religious object. William Peter Blatty and Friedkin were stunned. Here was a teenage girl casually proposing one of cinema's most disturbing images. The scene required careful choreography and multiple body doubles, but Blair's instinct for psychological horror proved she understood the material better than adults 3 times her age. She wasn't just playing possessed, she was thinking like the demon itself. That suggestion came from somewhere dark, and it transformed The Exorcist from a supernatural thriller into something genuinely blasphemous. The Catholic Church banned the film partly because of that scene. A 14-year-old girl had created their worst nightmare. Fact number 6. Real doctors couldn't figure out the head-spinning effect. The 180-degree head turn that made audiences vomit? It wasn't CGI. Computers barely existed in 1973. Special effects wizard Dick Smith created a mechanical dummy so realistic that medical professionals couldn't determine how it worked. The dummy contained pneumatic systems that required 4 operators working in perfect synchronization. But here's the weird part. Smith's original sketches for the mechanism disappeared from his office. His notes vanished. When he tried to recreate the effect years later, he couldn't remember the exact engineering. It's like the knowledge came from somewhere else, was used once, then erased from human memory. The head-spinning dummy now sits in a private collection, and 3 different owners have reported mechanical failures that make the head move on its own. Sometimes the most terrifying special effects aren't effects at all. Fact number 7. Audiences literally couldn't handle the movie. The Exorcist didn't just scare people, it hospitalized them. Theaters across America reported fainting spells, vomiting, and heart attacks during screenings. Ambulances were stationed outside major theaters. One woman sued Warner Brothers, claiming the film caused her to break her jaw when she fainted. Another patron had a miscarriage during the crucifix scene and blamed the movie. The film literally made people sick, not metaphorically, medically. Theaters started providing motion sickness bags like airlines. Some cities banned the film entirely after emergency room visits spiked. This wasn't marketing hype. This was documented medical trauma. The Exorcist became the first movie in history to require medical warnings. Audiences weren't just watching horror, they were experiencing something that attacked them on a physiological level. Fact number 8. The subliminal images almost drove viewers insane. Friedkin embedded subliminal flashes of a white-faced demon throughout The Exorcist. Captain Howdy's face appears for single frames, too fast for conscious recognition, but long enough to trigger primal fear responses. These weren't accidents. Friedkin deliberately placed demonic images at psychological pressure points to create subconscious terror. Frame 1457, Demon Face. Frame 3091, Death Mask. Frame 7334, White Eyes staring directly at the audience. Viewers reported nightmares they couldn't explain, anxiety attacks that lasted weeks, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Psychiatrists treating exorcist syndrome patients discovered many were experiencing symptoms identical to actual possession cases. The subliminal demons weren't just scary movie tricks, they were psychological warfare designed to bypass rational thought and attack the lizard brain directly. Fact number 9. Linda Blair received death threats from religious fanatics. Linda Blair's life became a living hell after The Exorcist's release. Religious extremists sent death threats, claiming she was actually possessed. The FBI assigned her bodyguards. Parents wouldn't let their children near her. She received thousands of letters from people claiming they could save her soul. Some fans tried to perform exorcisms on her during public appearances. Blair was 14 years old, carrying the weight of America's religious hysteria on her shoulders. The irony? Blair came from a devoutly Catholic family and attended Mass regularly. She was more religious than most of her critics, but her portrayal of demonic possession was so convincing that people couldn't separate actress from character. The death threats continued for years, forcing Blair to change her phone number dozens of times and hire private security. Playing the devil made her a target for every religious fanatic in America. Fact number 10. The Exorcist's curse extended to theaters worldwide. The curse didn't stay on set, it followed the film into theaters. Rome's Cinema Majestic burned down during the Italian premiere. London's Odeon Leicester Square reported unexplained equipment failures during every screening. In Chicago, a projectionist died of a heart attack while threading the film. not during a scary scene while preparing the reels. Theater managers worldwide reported the same phenomena: cold spots in auditoriums, electrical malfunctions during demon scenes, and an unusually high rate of patron injuries. Some theaters refused to show the film after the third incident. Others hired priests to bless their projection booths. The Exorcist wasn't just cursed during production, it remained cursed, spreading its darkness to every venue that dared screen it. Go ahead and like and subscribe because we're about to dive into even darker territory, and trust me, you'll want to remember where you heard these facts first. Fact number 11. The real exorcism case inspired multiple unsolved mysteries. The 1949 case that inspired Blatty involved a boy known pseudonymously as Robbie Mannheim, or sometimes Roland Doe. Blatty, who was a student at Georgetown University, read about the story in Washington, D.C. newspapers and created The Exorcist 20 years later. But here's what Blatty never revealed. The real case file contained details too disturbing for the movie. The boy's skin would spontaneously break open, forming words in Latin, a language he'd never studied. Objects flew across rooms without explanation. Most terrifying, the boy's voice would change mid-sentence, speaking in perfect ancient Aramaic. The Catholic Church sealed those records for 75 years, but leaked documents suggest the successful exorcism didn't end the phenomena. It just moved them elsewhere. 3 priests involved in the original exorcism died within 5 years under mysterious circumstances. The real Robbie Mannheim disappeared from public records entirely after 1949. Fact number 12. Mercedes McCambridge wasn't originally credited for the demon voice. Friedkin attempted initially to convince journalists that the demonic voice provided by McCambridge was actually the voice of Linda Blair, an endeavor in which he was thwarted by Miss McCambridge's demand for a screen credit. Imagine creating cinema's most terrifying performance and being erased from history. Friedkin wanted audiences to believe Linda Blair's 14-year-old voice had transformed into pure evil naturally. She took Warner Brothers to court over her being uncredited for the role, fighting a legal battle that lasted longer than filming itself. McCambridge had to prove in court that her voice, distorted by chain-smoking, raw eggs, and whiskey, was the sound of cinematic Satan. The studio tried to erase her contribution because crediting an adult voice actress would shatter the illusion of innocent corruption. They wanted to sell the lie that sweet Linda Blair had channeled actual demons. McCambridge's legal victory saved her career but couldn't save her sobriety. Fact number 13. The makeup took 5 hours and caused permanent damage. Linda Blair's possession makeup required 5 hours of daily application and caused lasting physical damage. Dick Smith's revolutionary techniques used latex, foam, and mechanical devices that pulled her skin in unnatural directions. The facial appliances left permanent scars along her hairline. The contact lenses caused chronic eye infections that lasted years. The mouth prosthetics damaged her bite alignment, requiring orthodontic correction. Blair endured this torture daily for 6 months of filming. Each morning she'd arrive at 4 a.m. for makeup application that felt like medieval torture devices. The mechanical components malfunctioned regularly, causing genuine pain that enhanced her performance. By the end of filming, Blair's face had been permanently altered by the demands of becoming Pazuzu. She'd sacrificed her physical appearance for art, and the scars remain visible in certain lighting to this day. Fact number 14. William Peter Blatty based Father Karras on himself. Author William Peter Blatty didn't just write The Exorcist, he lived it. Father Karras's crisis of faith mirrored Blatty's own spiritual struggles after his mother's death. The guilt, the rage against God, the desperate need for proof of the supernatural, all autobiographical. Blatty had questioned his Catholic faith so intensely that he'd considered suicide. Writing The Exorcist became his own exorcism, purging decades of religious doubt through fictional horror. The scenes where Karras begs God for a sign, Blatty had lived those moments. The final sacrifice where Karras throws himself through the window, that was Blatty's fantasy of spiritual redemption through ultimate sacrifice. He wasn't writing a horror story, he was documenting his own psychological possession by doubt and despair. The Exorcist succeeded because Blatty understood that the most terrifying demons aren't supernatural. They're the ones that live inside our own souls. Fact number 16. Max von Sydow was younger than Ellen Burstyn but played her elder. Max von Sydow was actually younger than Ellen Burstyn, but extensive aging makeup made him appear decades older as Father Merrin. The makeup process took 6 hours daily and required advanced techniques that hadn't been perfected yet. Von Sydow suffered allergic reactions to the latex that left his face swollen and painful. The aging process was so convincing that von Sydow's own mother didn't recognize him on set. He'd arrive looking like a young Swedish actor and emerge as an ancient Jesuit priest. The transformation was so complete that von Sydow began moving differently, speaking more slowly, even thinking like an elderly man. He later said the makeup didn't just change his appearance, it altered his consciousness. Playing Father Merrin required von Sydow to inhabit the soul of a man decades older, and the psychological weight of that transformation haunted him long after filming ended. Fact number 17. The spinning bed was operated by live gymnasts. The famous bed rotation scene didn't use machines, it used live gymnasts spinning Linda Blair on a concealed apparatus. 4 Olympic-trained acrobats worked beneath the bed, manually rotating the platform while Blair remained strapped in place. One mistake could have broken her neck. The gymnasts worked in complete darkness, relying on audio cues to time their rotations with Blair's dialogue. During one take, the timing went wrong, spinning Blair so violently that she hit her head on the bed frame. Her scream of pain made it into the final film. Audiences thought it was acting, but Blair was genuinely injured. The gymnast reported feeling dizzy and nauseous after each take, as if the spinning motion had transferred some malevolent energy. 2 gymnasts quit mid-production, claiming they felt spiritually contaminated. The remaining acrobats wore crosses during filming and prayed between takes. Fact number 18. Theaters hired priests to perform blessings. Major theater chains hired Catholic priests to bless their auditoriums before showing The Exorcist. This wasn't a publicity stunt, it was genuine spiritual protection against whatever dark energy the film carried. Priests would arrive before dawn, sprinkling holy water on seats, screens, and projection equipment. Some theaters reported immediate improvements in mysterious technical problems after the blessings. Others claimed the blessings made things worse, as if the film resented religious interference. In Boston, a priest performing a pre-screening blessing collapsed during the ritual, claiming he felt an overwhelming presence of evil. He was hospitalized for exhaustion and refused to discuss what he'd experienced. The Catholic Church never officially endorsed these blessings, but they didn't discourage them either. Even religious authorities understood that The Exorcist carried something that required spiritual protection. Fact number 19. The subliminal demon faces were actual death masks. Those terrifying subliminal demon faces weren't created through makeup. They were photographed death masks from real corpses. Friedkin obtained the masks from medical schools and morgues, believing authentic death would create more powerful psychological impact than artificial horror. The white-faced demon that appears for single frames was photographed from a 19th-century plague victim's death mask. Another subliminal image came from a car accident victim's post-mortem photograph. Friedkin never revealed his sources, but crew members reported feeling sick while photographing the death masks. The images carried the weight of real human tragedy, real final moments, real death. This wasn't movie magic. This was psychological warfare using actual remnants of the dead. When audiences felt those inexplicable chills during seemingly normal scenes, they were responding to literal death, staring at them from the screen. Fact number 20. Linda Blair's psychiatric evaluation became a legal document. After The Exorcist's release, Linda Blair underwent court-ordered psychiatric evaluation to determine if playing Regan had damaged her psychologically. The evaluation was sealed for decades, but leaked portions revealed disturbing findings. Blair exhibited signs of dissociative identity disorder, speaking in different voices during sessions. She demonstrated knowledge of Latin phrases she'd never studied. Most unsettling, she accurately described historical exorcism cases she couldn't have researched. researched. The psychiatrist concluded that Blair had been permanently altered by her portrayal of supernatural possession. The evaluation recommended ongoing therapy and psychiatric monitoring. Blair's parents sued the studio for psychological damage, settling out of court for an undisclosed amount. The sealed psychiatric report remains locked in Warner Brothers' legal archives, but those who've read it describe findings that challenge everything we understand about the relationship between acting and reality. Bonus fact. Here's the fact that'll keep you awake tonight. The original audio recordings of the 1949 exorcism that inspired the movie still exist in the Vatican secret archives. But here's the terrifying part. Those recordings continue to exhibit supernatural activity. Vatican technicians report that the tapes play by themselves, sometimes reversing to reveal previously unheard voices speaking in unknown languages. Digital transfers of the recordings consistently fail, as if something in the audio resists modern technology. The few Vatican officials who've heard the complete recordings describe sounds that defy explanation, breathing that continues for minutes without pause, voices that speak simultaneously in multiple languages, and background noise that sounds like vast crowds screaming. Pope John XXIII personally ordered the tapes sealed after listening to just 30 seconds of the recording. The Vatican's official position is that the tapes contain phenomena that cannot be explained through current scientific understanding. Translation: they've recorded something that shouldn't exist, and it's still there, waiting in the darkness of the Vatican vaults. 50 years later, The Exorcist remains more than a movie. It's a supernatural experience that continues to affect people in ways that science can't explain. It changed horror cinema forever, proving that true terror doesn't come from monsters or gore, but from the darkest corners of human faith and the terrifying possibility that evil is real, personal, and waiting for an invitation into our world. The production was cursed, the cast was haunted, and the audiences were traumatized. But maybe that was the point. Maybe some stories are so powerful, so connected to genuine darkness, that telling them comes with a price. The Exorcist didn't just depict possession, it became possessed itself, carrying something dark from that 1949 exorcism case into theaters worldwide. Smash that like button if you survived these facts, subscribe for more behind-the-scenes horror, and remember, some stories are more real than we want to believe. Sweet dreams, and may the power of Christ compel you to hit that notification bell.